one thing that
Hey, when my girls start to trip and hate before I skate, I call Sirius XM 98. Yeah, Thursday, the Foxxhole 7 to 9 to talk to ZoWilliams before I lose my mind. Yo, I need advice on my relationship, cause I'm about to start breaking. I can't take it no more. I got to holler at Zo, the relationship pro. Before I pack up and go, I got my foot out the door and down for leaving. But first, let me holler at Zo, the voice of reason. I got one foot out the door and down for leaving. But first, let me holler at Zo, the voice of reason.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zometheus Rising. The voice of reason is back in the building. Foxxhole Radio, Sirius XM 98. Tonight's topic, another banger. You know, my topics come from real life. Woo, this is my Achilles heel. I am a hothead, someone with a limited temper. Woo, I'm fiery. Jesus. Tonight's topic, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution Anger Management Show. Crazy. If you're having issues in your relationship, anger issues, if you're having difficulty resolving conflicts, tonight is your show. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution / Anger Management Show. You need to get to your phone lines right now. 855-369-9898. This is going to be a very caller-heavy driven show because we want you to call us and share your experiences. Once again, I'm ZoWilliams, the voice of reason. It's Thursday night. You know what we do here. Foxxhole Radio, Sirius XM 98. I need you to follow me at www.ZoWilliams.com. That's my personal website. But what I want you to do right now is pull those trucks over, get online, get on your cell phones, and follow me on Twitter at ZoWilliams. Tweet me your questions. Tweet me your scenarios. Tweet me your issues. We will read them online or over the air right now, and we will try to get some of our special guests, and we've got professionals in the building to handle the situation. Follow me now at ZoWilliams, and let's talk about it. It's going to be a great show, the Anger Management Show. Now, before I go to break, this is what I need you to do. I want you guys to come join me at the Little Black Pearl Workshop at 1060 East 47th Street, Chicago, Illinois, on Saturday, June 25th. It's going to be crazy from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'm doing a relationship roundtable. I want you all to come out and participate in the very first relationship roundtable of the year that I'm going to put on myself. My relationship help desk is going on the road, June 25th, 2011, at the Little Black Pearl Workshop, East 47th Street, Chicago, Illinois. It's going to be crazy. I'll be back in 2.2 to deal with the Anger Management Conflict Resolution Show. ZoWilliams in the building, 2 seconds. I'll see you.
I ain't got no motherfucker. That's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. West Side, bad boy killers. You know who the realest is, niggas. We bring it to you. First off, fuck your bitch in the click you claim. West Side, when we ride, come
Tupac was upset, wasn't he? Ladies and gentlemen, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution Show and the Anger Management Show. Let me just say happy birthday to Tupac. But again, this was one of the most vitriolic records ever recorded. It took diss rap to a whole nother level where we was like, oh, that's out of bounds. Anger. How many of you are in a relationship right now that you want to play this record soon as your husband or wife comes home? Somebody call me right now, 855-369-9898. That is the number to dial. Get at me. Follow me on Twitter because we want you to participate in tonight's conversation at ZoWilliams. Let's get these conversations going. We got great guests. Before I get into them, though, you guys know you got to come see me at the Little Black Pearl Workshop, 1060 East 47th Street, Chicago, Illinois, June 25th. I will be there. I need you to be there. It's going to be off the chain, a relationship workshop. We're going to have elements of Battle of the Sexes, all the questions you want answered, ladies, all the questions you want answered, brothers. We're going to be able to do it. Get at me then. Now, let me get to my questions. Everybody loves these questions because they start such fire on the radio. Let me ask you this. How do you work with a boss who has anger issues? Here's another question. What features does anger share in common with other emotions? A lot of people don't know there are a few other emotions that resemble anger, that are connected to anger. What are your triggers? A lot of people don't even know what their triggers are. Maybe some people do know what their triggers are, and resolving to not be angry sometimes, or in a lot of cases, especially in my case, because I'm a hothead, it's like New Year's resolutions. You forget all about resolving to not be angry, especially in the heat of the moment. You lose all of the stuff you said you was never going to do. All right. What are some of the methods you can teach your child to use to express his or her anger in a healthy manner? Right. Are you in a relationship with someone who has anger problems? And here's the biggest question to me. What is the cost of anger? What do you lose by being angry? Oh man, this is crazy. Tonight's topic, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The conflict resolution, anger management show. It's going to be crazy. Now let me go to my first guest. I need you guys to get to your phone lines again. If I didn't say that, I want to say it again because we really want to hear your experiences. I have an in-studio guest right now that we're going to share our experience because we're always fighting on the court. Every week somebody fights on the basketball court, and it was no different last week. And I'm just going to share that story in a minute. But before I do that, let me introduce one of the professionals we have on deck. Now, this brother has been in private practice in Fayetteville, North Carolina since 1989. He received his undergraduate training at the University of Notre Dame and his doctorate in psychology from the University of Florida in 1981. After several years of conducting research at Duke University with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Harbin trained in clinical psychology at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro and completed his internship at Durham VA Medical Center. Again, he has an encyclopedia of a resume, and I will not be able to read it all, but he is welcomed to share his vast insight and knowledge on the topic of anger. There are a lot of angry relationships out there, from parent to child, from boss to worker, from husband to wife, girlfriend to boyfriend. Dr. Thomas Harbin, welcome to the Voice of Reason. We need your help out of the murky swamp of anger. Talk to us. And after the greatest intro of all times, he is not available.
Hello.
Hey, Dr. Harbin, how you doing, brother?
How you doing, Joe? I'm here.
Oh, man. Can we get some answers to some of these difficult questions that plague every relationship, it seems? Just tell us right now, what is anger?
Well, I mean, it depends a lot on the situation and who you talk to, but essentially, in my opinion, anger is an emotion just like any other emotion. You know, you're born with it. It's like love. It's like fear. It's like hate. It's like jealousy. It's just part of being a human being. You know, I think it's just wired in. It's part of who we are.
So, is there a beneficial aspect of anger? Because we know a lot of the negative aspects of anger. Is there anything beneficial about anger?
You know, I think that anger is neither good or bad. It just is. Mm-hmm. But I think what I try to focus on with people is how much anger, how long does it take to get you angry, what do you do when you get angry, how long does it take you to cool off? I mean, what I like to look at is whether the expression of anger is what I call adaptive or maladaptive. I mean, for example, I think that Martin Luther King was motivated by anger at the conditions of the society. I think Mother Teresa of Calcutta was motivated by anger. I think most PhDs and MDs and other professionals would never get through their training without some of the energy that anger provides. So I guess the short answer to your question is I think there can be some adaptive expressions of anger, but as far as anger itself, I think it just is. It's part of being a human being.
Right. So you're saying that anger can be used as a motivational tool. It could be used to say, hey, I'm not taking this anymore, and it could be even an agent of change.
Well, I mean, exactly. If you look at Martin Luther King, he decided, this cannot stand. I don't like this. I'm going to do something about this.
Right. What about a person who has an inability to control their anger and finds themselves in, a conflictual environment within relationship all the time? Someone who has chronic anger issues.
That's not good. That's not good. As I said, people who get too angry too easily, too often, over too little, are going to destroy their social lives. They're going to destroy their work lives. They're just going to end up being unhappy and making the people around them unhappy.
Wow. So is there a particular group or gender that is more prone to anger and confrontations than other? I mean, are men more angry, or are women more angry? Talk to me.
I don't think so. I think the expressions of anger are different for men and women. I think there are angry men. I think there are angry women. I mean, I think one of the best self-help books ever written was written for women. It's called The Dance of Anger by Harriet Lerner. Men tend to be more physical in their anger than women do, but I think 80% of the characteristics of anger are true for either men or women.
Got it. A lot of people, and especially in our research, associated some type of connection between depression and anger. Is there a link between the two? If so, what are the symptoms and how does that come about?
I definitely think there's a link between the two for a couple of reasons. The first reason is people think of depression as a mood, but depression isn't really a mood. Depression is a disorder and with a lot of symptoms, and the mood part of it is only one of the symptoms. And for a lot of people, especially men, well, not just especially men, for a lot of people, the mood component of a depressive disorder isn't sad, it's angry. Another link between depression and anger is depression robs you of your motivation, it robs you of your frustration tolerance, and if you have less tolerance for the BS around you, it's more likely to get to you and result in anger than if you weren't depressed.
Wow. This is some heavy stuff. If you've just tuned in, tonight's topic, Don't Make Me Angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution Anger Management Show. I need you to get to your phone lines, 855-369-9898. You were just listening to Dr. Thomas Harbin. He's on fire. He has great information. He's accredited. He's been everywhere, PhDs, studied all over the place, prestigious universities. He's on deck. We want you to call, ask questions. We want you to participate. We have other guests lined up, but we want to talk about it right now. As a matter of fact, we just got something from Twitter. A brother by the name of, what is this, @W McAfee, right? @W McAfee. He says, I can't control my anger when women start tripping over silly things. Jealousy, selfishness, etc. makes me angry, and then the situation gets worse. Dr. Harbin, how does jealousy and unrealistic expectations play into our anger and our and particularly our angry behavior, how we express that anger? How does jealousy and unrealistic expectations play into that?
I think with jealousy, a lot of times people think of jealousy as I don't trust her or I don't trust him. So I'm jealous because she looked at another man, or I'm jealous because he still talks to his old girlfriends. But if you think about it, jealousy really isn't so much distrust of her as it is distrust of me. So, for example, if she's looking at another man, that means she's going to find somebody better than me. That means she thinks he's better than me. And I think what leads to anger is the implication in the angry person's mind that I'm not good enough. I don't measure up. She's going to like somebody better than me.
Wow. And a lot of times relationships will end once comparison comes into play. Because when you say, to me, jealousy implies comparison. This person's better than me. This person, why would you choose them over me? And it starts to become like this negative self-evaluation. If you chose someone else, they must be better than me. And then that leads maybe into a trigger for them to display some type of angry behavior. What do you think of that?
I agree with you. It's not only you can think of it as going through some steps. Okay, she thinks he's better than me. What's wrong with me? Why is she saying there's something wrong with me? And even though she never said anything like that, but then it's off to the races. A whole mind trip about comparisons with the other guy when she never really did that.
Exactly. Hey, Doc, can we go to some callers right now? We got some people lined up. They want to talk to you. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Let's do it. Cloud from New York. You're in the Voice of Reason. It's time to express yourself.
Hey, what up, Zoe?
What's happening, brother?
Not much, man. I found that, like, early on in my life that I had a tendency to really be impulsive, so I've had to come up with a variety of methods to kind of slow time down so I actually have a chance to kind of, slow down and actually think about what I do. And two of the methods that I've implemented that have been really, instrumental in helping me control my anger is that, one, I try to view everybody, like anyone younger than me, as an infant or anybody older than me as a 100-year-old, because in reality, you always think twice before going at either one of those sides. And number two, I've also realized that every moment in life is either a test or a celebration. So if I find myself dealing with a situation or a person who's particularly difficult, I always ask myself, okay, what is this situation or person trying to teach me? And then usually I can slow down and actually step back and see the situation for what it really is.
Wow. Thank you for the call, Cloud. It's been a long time. I appreciate you reaching out to us. Neil from Idaho, you're in the building. Do you have a question for Dr. Thomas Harbin?
Well, more or less a statement. I learned how to control my anger, and I have two ways of controlling. Number one, the police, they really helped me to try to figure out what was wrong. And then I had to talk to a psychiatrist. So I put both those together, and I've been able to work out my anger. I still get angry, but I don't act out on it. And one way, when I say the psychiatrist helped me, he asked me about, the N-word. He said, how does that make you feel? I said, well, that burns me up because, we've been through the struggle. He said, well, what if I called you a quarter? I said, well, that's crazy. He said, for a guy who's trying to be successful, get his way out of the ghetto and try to get into the mainstream, for somebody to call you out of your name, you get worked up, and then you have bad consequences. You beat them up, they beat you up, then all of a sudden you're an idiot. And what they do is they get a free ride in your head. And it took me a while to understand that. They get a free ride in your head. They go on about their business. They're doing what makes them happy. But you're still pissed off because somebody called you the N-word and you didn't do nothing about it. And so that was a good turning point for me. Because I grew up in the ghetto, and you step on my shoe, we had a problem. You called me out of my name, we had a problem. And then the police started putting me in jail, when I started doing all the fighting for it. Mm-hmm. So once I got the fighting and the violence came in, they put you in jail, and then they give you time to think about it. Is this what you really want out of life? Or do you want something better in life? And so I had to understand the consequences of anger and then the violence that followed. So,
brother, let me just say, brother, thank you very much for being so candid and sharing your life story almost. I appreciate you for reaching out to the Voice of Reason. Anytime you feel like it, you can do so. Dr. Harbin, he mentioned something about his environment and how he was brought up and how he was raised, and how much validity is in that statement as far as environment. How much does environment contribute to your the way you express your anger?
Let me get to that in just a second, Zoe, but I wanted to comment on each of those calls. First of all, the first guy's name was Cloud. Is that his name?
Yes, Cloud from Buffalo.
I think that he's nailed it right on the head as far as my approach to helping people deal with anger, and that is to think and to try to train yourself to think and slow down and not just react. And he's found his little tricks for managing himself, and everybody's got to find their own tricks for managing themselves. And I think he's got it right on the head that one of the keys is to stop and think and not just react. Mm-hmm. I forget the second caller's name. But,
what was our second caller? What was his name? His name was Neil out of Idaho.
Okay. In addition to doing the treatment work that I do a lot of forensic work, which means I do a lot of psychological evaluations with felons and other people. And the situation that he mentioned, with somebody steps on his tennis shoes and they got a problem, I've got a capital murder case that I'm dealing with right now that stem from somebody stepping on somebody else's shoes. So he's not just making that up.
That's a real situation, right?
It's a real situation, at least in my practice. Now, as far as your question about the contribution of the environment, people's environments to anger, I think it's a big contribution. I mean, if you're raised, let's say, in your small environment, in your house, and what you've learned is that any little disagreement, any little frustration, any little confrontation has to escalate into something bigger, into something physical, then that's how you learn to handle things. If you're in a culture that rewards men for being aggressive, rewards men for being violent, then that's what you're going to learn to do. So, I don't think that's the only contributor, but the environment that you're raised in is certainly a big contributor to how you respond to things and how you react to things and what makes you angry.
Right. And I always tell my son, he just graduated today, and let me say congratulations to him. He graduated from the 8th grade. I always tell him, whatever school campus we go on, because we've been visiting a lot of high schools because they want him to play basketball, and I always say, every campus we go on is its own society, and it has its own social game rules. And I say, just like every neighborhood we go in has its own little society, and it has its own social game rules. Just like every household. Our household has a social game rules that say, hey, man, be accountable, be responsible, look out for your sister, be respectful, whatever. And if there's anger there, we try to sit down and have a conversation. There are some households that may not have a mother and a father, or that may have a different level of pressure or circumstances and situations that will cause for different responses. You might have an angry mom and dad in the household, and those are the social game rules that are being passed down to the children. And a lot of people don't understand communication is a big part of this too, especially, what do they say, 98% of the communication in a household is nonverbal. So the child is picking up on the way you handle a situation, not just what you say about it, but how you physically handle the situation. Is that not true, Doc?
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think what is much more important than you've always heard the saying, "Do as I say, not as I do."
Right.
That is absolute nonsense, because kids are going to do what you do and not so much what you tell them to do.
Right. And you know what's so big? I'm a hothead. My son is a hothead. He responds the way I respond, and I feel so bad because sometimes I handle situations so poorly. So he'll see me do something, and then, especially like on the basketball court, I'm always on the basketball court talking crap, right. Getting into fights, pushing, shoving, and then I see him on his basketball team doing the same thing. So I'm not trying to come across as this guy who's got it all figured out. I know when I make a mistake, there are younger eyes and minds watching me that I'm actually developing when I make that mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we were about to take a quick break, but you can finish your thought.
Well, what I was going to say is I think there's been a real generational shift in that regard. I'm probably a generation ahead of you, and when I played basketball, if you got into a fight or an altercation on the court, the coach sat you down, you were in trouble. And now trash talk, beating your chest and all that is considered part of the game.
Right. And we have, in America, we have a conflicting kind of view of conflict. Sometimes conflict and aggression is good. Sometimes it's bad. So now we have to find that fine line. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to The Voice of Reason with ZoWilliams. I am he is I. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. the Conflict Resolution and Anger Management Show. That's our topic tonight. I need help. I've got doctors on the line that can help me with my anger issues. I am radio's Incredible Hulk. When I get mad, I am dumb as a stump. When I'm calm, I can definitely guide people. But when I'm angry, I'm an idiot. Somebody call me, 855-369-9898. Somebody get at me. I need to hear your story. I'll be back in 2.2. The voice of reason. ZoWilliams back in the building. Tonight's topic. I need y'all to get to your phone lines, 855-369-9898. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. That is the classic phrase from the Incredible Hulk television series. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution Anger Management Show. I'm ZoWilliams. They know me as the VOR, the voice of reason. This is Foxxhole Radio, Sirius XM 98. Your phone lines are 855-FOX-9898. That's 855-369-9898. I need you to follow me at ZoWilliams on Twitter. You need to do that right now. And let me just read this to you really quickly. The Foxhole, all of us, man, this is going to be crazy. All of us. We're headed to Atlantic City. Join us on the 4th of July weekend for the Foxhole Radio Celebrity Weekend, hosted by none other than Jamie Foxx. The Foxhole crew is taking over Caesars Hotel and the casino all weekend long. You need to get to Ticketmasters and get your tickets right now. Trust me, it's going to be bunkerific. Okay? I need you guys to go to my Twitter and my Facebook. My Twitter is at ZoWilliams, and my Facebook is, ZoWilliams.1 or something crazy like that. But go check it out. I need you guys to participate in this conversation. This is what we're doing. And also on the 25th, go to Chicago, the Little Black Pearl Workshop, 1060 East 47th Street, Chicago, Illinois, my first round table of the year. It's going to be off the chain. Now, let me just say something really quickly. Albert Einstein said, anger dwells only in the bosom of fools. Gosh. Here's another quote that really just, as I was putting these quotes together, I was kind of blown away because I was like, you're an idiot, Zo. One thing that really, I beat myself up when I lose my temper because I feel like it is a degradation of my character. I feel like I am degrading myself as an exceptional human being. And as I was told last Saturday on the court by one of the homies that I was fighting with, I'm always fighting on the court. I think I hold my anger in until I get to the court so I can let it out on other players. But as I was told, and it was like looking in a mirror, he said, and you're supposed to be the voice of reason. I was like, oh, there you go. This quote made me look at that again. And it says, anger blows out the lamp of the mind. Robert G. Ingersoll. Ladies and gentlemen, ZoWilliams, the voice of reason, is on Foxhole Radio right now. I have Dr. Thomas Harbin on the line. He's incredible. We've got callers on deck, Doc. Do you still want to talk to a few?
I'm still here.
Hey, I love it. We also have another special guest on board as well. And we're going to bring her in after we take a couple of callers. She's going to join us, Doc, and we're going to go even deeper. I got my in-studio guest that we're going to talk about our fight on the court this past Saturday. Hopefully, both you, Dr. Harbin, and our next special guest can help guide us through our anger issues. Ladies and gentlemen, ZoWilliams, are you ready to get to the phone lines? We are Mac from Ohio. It's time to talk, man. Let's go. Mac?
Hey, what's good?
What's up, brother? Let's talk about it, man. What's happening?
Hey, well, you know what, man? I used to have a real bad anger issue. I'm going to get back to you in a second because I think, I don't want to just try to, psychoanalyze your situation, but I think we got a little something in common with the anger because I'm a trip on the basketball court myself. But, but one of the things I learned when dealing with my anger, though, and I see it in a lot of young brothers in this generation nowadays, is our inability to communicate. Once I learned how to express myself verbally, I became a much less angry person. I was able to use my words as opposed to just lashing out. Now, we got people out here who they understand. It's just like take the man and woman thing. Women just are more intelligent, naturally, than men. And when a man is dealing with his woman, she is over his head, man, like a bulimic on a seesaw, and she's communicating she's communicating, and he has no ability to communicate with her, and it's an anger. He lashes out, and it's an anger situation. You two young brothers got a beef, man, and they don't know how to use their words to communicate to squash the beef, and it's blown out of proportion. So I did 3 years in the pen, man, and I'm gonna tell you like this, bro. The majority of the cats that's in there for murder, they're a bunch of suckers, man, and they in there for sucker stuff, man.
Wow.
Because they couldn't use their words to express themselves. Back to you right quick, Zoe. Yeah. Do you got light-skinned, green-eyed brother, you know what I'm saying, complex, like certain brothers got short brothers complex? I'm a light-skinned, green-eyed brother. And I'm also 6 feet, and I'm 230 full of muscle. And I don't take no shit, man.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like the light-skinned dude always getting the heat, so we got to fight more? Is that what you're saying?
We got to fight more, like the short brother gets.
Well, he got. Okay, he's there. All right. Hey, brother, that was a good point. Mac from Ohio was in the building. I appreciate it. Who we got next on the line? Ashley from New Yeezy, NY. Talk to me, Ashley.
Hi, Zoe.
Hey,
hello?
Ashley. How you doing?
I just wanted to say, for one, I'm in the hospital a lot. I have sickle cell, and your show keeps me going. So. Oh,
wow. Thank you, honey.
Like, I love listening to you.
Wow.
But what I wanted to say was that when I was a teenager younger, I had a lot of anger problems. I would get mad at the littlest things, want to fight, like crazy. And as I've gotten a little older, the one thing that I realized was I wasn't happy at that point in my life. And I think I was projecting that. I was putting that out. I was getting angry at people for any and every little thing. Flipping out, wanting to fight you. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm older, I realize that was a point in my life where I wasn't happy. Wow. I wasn't feeling good on the inside, so I portrayed that. I put that out.
Wow. You are blowing me away with your honesty and your candidness. We here at the Voice of Reason appreciate you. And anytime you want to call me, email me. I'm at ZoWilliams. It's zo@SiriusXM.com. Email me. Let me know how you feel. Share your story. Share anything with me. I will correspond. You can follow me on Twitter at ZoWilliams. I appreciate that call. That was meaningful, Ashley. Thank you very much. Jay from North Carolina. Talk to me.
Hey, what's going on, Zoe?
What's up, brother?
Hey, man, just wanted to say, man, when I was growing up, I had to be a monster. That was my neighborhood. That was our mentality. You have to be a monster. As I got older, I learned how to adapt and hide that anger, but all I did was mask it. I didn't do anything to try to get treatment or anything like that. So then, I get married, man, and my wife, she called me on the table on it a lot, And I'm an educated guy, got master's, degree, and communication skills are fine, and like the brother said before, man, communication was definitely an issue. Mm-hmm. Whenever we would talk, I felt threatened. And so I get into my monster mode, and I'm like, man, you can't do that. That's your wife. But like you, when you get angry to that point, I'm like, man, how did I lose it and, let it get so far? Like, why wasn't I able to see the triggers coming and say, hey, back up, man. It was never physical or anything like that, but it was always, verbal assault, voice getting raised, and putting her in fear. Like, I know my mother's the same way, and I'm like, man, you can't do that. But it's still just, you think you got to conquer, and it just keeps coming back. And so now what I'm looking for is just some ways to avoid some of that, man, or just ways to stop it, to see when it's coming on and say, hey, step back, man. It doesn't need to go that far. I pray about it. I can, pray continuously, but it's just still one of those things where it's like in the pit of my, my soul, man, which just comes out. I'm like, and once I've lost it and I got to that point, it's like there's no coming back,
So Jay, would you mind staying on the line and talking with? I'm about to introduce another special guest, and my special guest that's on with me right now, Dr. Thomas Harbin. Would you mind staying on the line and maybe sharing some of the things with them, and maybe they could give you a couple of tips to kind of redirect your behavior? Because whatever tip they give you, I'm gonna put the tip on too. All right? Can we do that? All right. Let me introduce my next guest. Now, she comes to us. I got her book right here. I have it in my hands. The book is called The Anger Workbook for Teens, Activities to Help You Deal with Anger and Frustration. So it's a great book. Her name is Raychelle Cassada Lohmann, MS LPC. She'll tell us what all of the letters mean. Now, she has worked in middle school and high school settings as a professional school counselor. She has done extensive research in anger management and specializes in individual and group counseling for anger management. She's off the chain. She's at the Foxxhole. And this is what we do on The Voice of Reason, is bring in real folks to deal with other people's real issues. So could you join us, Raychelle, and Dr. Thomas Hamblin, and let's try to deal with Jay's issues. Raychelle, welcome to The Voice of Reason.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so he's looking for some tips. If you could, by listening to his story, what he just explained, and what can you glean from that story, and what type of tips could you match to his particular problem, or do you need a little more info?
Well, from what I heard him saying, he's already kind of explored that he's got an anger problem and that he's wanting to make a change in that. And he's starting to understand a little bit where his anger is coming from, which is a big step in anger management, is being able to identify your triggers. Jay, the next thing I would recommend that you do is start to realize how your body reacts when you start to get agitated and frustrated, and try to really tune in. You've got to not only tune into your thoughts, your feelings, but you've got to also tune into what your body's doing. These are all things that can you can catch before you lead up to an explosive situation. You're beginning the process. You've begun the journey. You definitely have some places to go. You've got to work on changing some of the thoughts whenever things happen to you that start those triggers and start to activate them, and then learn better how to communicate and articulate what you're feeling. It sounds like from what I'm hearing you say, you're automatically reacting, so you're jumping over a whole bunch of steps that you still need to learn, that you're beginning the process, and you're making, it sounds like, great strides in the fact that you're already realizing what's beginning to bother you, and you want to make the change.
Wow, good stuff, Raychelle. Dr. Harbin, what can you tell him that could help him develop as a person? Me too, because I'm listening, taking notes as well.
Well, there's something that he said that got my attention, and that was that as soon as I forget if it was his wife or his girlfriend, starts to question him or dispute something he has to say, he feels threatened. And I think that what we refer to as anger management is fine as sort of the first few steps, recognizing what sets you off, knowing what to do about it, and so forth. But I think with a lot of my patients, what I stress is that it's much better if the anger is never there to begin with, so you don't have to manage it. And what that involves is a reinterpretation of how people view the world. Every disagreement, every criticism, everything that doesn't go right is not a comment on your inferiority. It doesn't have to be interpreted that way, and you don't have to feel threatened every time something doesn't go your way or every time somebody doesn't agree with you. So I think in the longer term, it involves a reinterpretation of what the world means to you.
That's a good point. Jay, what has the information that you just received, how has it, he's gone? Oh, man. I'm hurt because I wanted Jay to respond to some of those points. Well, let me speak for Jay. Let me speak for Jay, because I'm a Jay in a way, me personally. I think I'm a suppressor of anger. I'm like cool as a fan during the week, right? Oh, wait a minute. Let me not get into my business just yet. They say Jay is back. Jay, talk to me.
Yeah.
Hey, now, my friend Raychelle Cassada Lohmann just gave you some points, as well as Dr. Thomas Harbin. What do you think of the information that they imparted on you, brother?
Well, I agree with it. And also my wife, thank God for her, she's been able to point some things out to me, too. Like, she can almost know, she notices when I'm getting to that point. Like, she can look at my eyebrows and see how they get, furrowed up. She can just look at it and go, hey, she'll touch me and say, smooth your eyebrows out, She knows automatically when it's getting there. And I said, I thank God for that, because now it's like, once I know that's happening, I go, okay, take a deep breath, relax, walk, do something, then come back and address the issue, in another way.
Wow. Hey, brother, let me just say, Jay, I appreciate you for calling the Voice of Reason. And if there's anyone else out there who would like to get some straight-up advice right now from Dr. Thomas Harbin, as well as Raychelle Cassada Lohmann, listen, call us right now, 855-369-9898. That's 855-FOX-9898. This is the Don't Make Me Angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The conflict resolution and anger management show. I'm ZoWilliams, the voice of reason, and I have another quote here from the Buddha. Buddhism, right? He says, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned because you're holding on to the hot coal. I love it. We're going to take a break in 5 minutes, but before we do that, I'm going to go to a couple of more callers and a couple of our Twitter responses that we have right now. We've got at Philly Birdman. He says, I don't know why I feel so mad when my mom tells me how to take care of my kids. That's an interesting one. Then we have at Turk Caveman. Wow, these are some interesting Twitter names. Subliminally racial statements get me so mad that I could spit fire. I wouldn't be half as mad if they said it to my face. Sounds like he's looking for a fight. At W.M. McAfee, he says, I can't control my anger when women start. Oh, I already read that one. Here's a new one at the Foxxhole Twitter. He says, this is at Tysman43. He says, what do you say to someone who has to be angry for his job and cannot turn it off at home, i.e. the Marine Corps? Wow. How does coming home from a war where you've just post-traumatic stress disorder, where you've just been in, hell and high water trying to stay alive, how do you turn the anger off when you get home? Harbin and Raychelle, could you talk to me about that?
Well, my practice is based in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is home to Fort Bragg and right up the road from Camp Lejeune. And I think I would disagree with the caller or with the Twitter responder, implying that soldiers have to be angry in order to do their job. I think a big part of their training is not to react in anger and to always be thinking. And so while I would not disagree that the conditions that they face make it difficult for them to come back to civilian life once their deployment's over and they have to adjust to the civilian world, I don't think anybody does a good job at work by being angry. When you're angry at work, you're not thinking, you're reacting, and that's rarely a good thing.
Wow. Raychelle?
Yeah, it sounds like the person who posted the tweet is trying to reach out a little bit and saying, hey, I've got these feelings, I'm taking them home with me, it's starting to interfere with my relationships at home. I know a lot of the military bases, they have counselors there, and I would encourage that Twitter follower to reach out to those resources that are on that base, because it sounds like he's trying to reach out to get some help. So that would be my recommendation, because he's trying to reach out, he's trying to get some help, and he doesn't need to be taking all that home with him.
Wow, that's a great point. I have another quote. For every minute you are angry, or for every minute you remain angry, you give up 60 seconds of peace of mind. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ladies and gentlemen, ZoWilliams, the voice of reason. What are we talking about? It's the Don't Make Me Angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry show. Dude, we trying to cover it all. Before I go, I just want to remind you all to get to your phone lines. I want to talk to you. I want to talk about how you manage anger and conflict in your relationships. My number to reach me, my special number for you, 855-369-9898. I need to hear from you right now. You can tweet me at ZoWilliams. I'll be back in 2.2. Let's finish it. No Vaseline. Classic. I'm playing a lot of diss records because in hip-hop, we diss each other. And that kind of conflict, at first, in hip-hop, it was born out of competition, comparison. My lyrics are better than you. My metaphors are better than yours. You know, my rhymes are tighter than you. I dress better than you. I'm cooler than you. You know, and it was really for sport. But then as hip-hop evolved and got more aggressive and more violent, it became, I'm going to shoot your kids. I had sex with your wife. Or, you know, I had sex with your baby mama. You didn't know it until I made this record. You know, it started turning into now fans of one particular rapper doesn't like fans of the rapper that guy is beefing with. And, you know, some type of violence might break out because of this fan's allegiance to a hip-hop artist. I mean, it turned violent and crazy. That's why I'm playing a lot of diss records and battle records or whatnot. But one of the people that listen, a lot of people talk about this battle that me and Louis Dix had on Speedy's Comedy Corner a couple of years ago where we just went crazy on each other. But, I mean, it's on YouTube and everything. It's crazy. I called him a failure at happiness. But then later on, I brought him back on the show, The Voice of Reason, Louis Dix, as well as the actor who plays Uncle Ruckus. And we did a show called Failure at Happiness. This was last year. Me and Louis Dix have always been good friends. I mean, we counsel each other. You know, we look out for each other's kids. You know, we're friends. But Louis, boy, he can get under your skin and to the point where it's a Louis Dix rash. And, you know what I'm saying? No pun intended. And then, you know, you go at Louis Dix real hard. I mean, if you thought I went hard on Louis Dix on radio, you should have seen how I went in on him on the basketball court. I'm telling you, don't meet me on the basketball court. Something going to happen. Something is going to happen if you come at me on the basketball court. I don't know what it is about the court. But anyway, Louis Dix has tweeted us, and he says, I'm cool with the person who gets angry. I keep my focus on people who insist on getting even. Choose wisely and treat kindly. That's from Louis Dix. I appreciate Louis Dix. He's my good friend. If you're just tuning into The Voice of Reason tonight's topic is Don't Make Me Angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution Anger Management Show. I have a phone line for you to call. It's 855-369-9898. Again, I'm ZoWilliams, The Voice of Reason. This is the Foxxhole on Sirius XM 98. I want you to catch the Jamie Foxx Show as well. That's tomorrow at 5 p.m., always on Fridays, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a celebrity pack show with today's hottest issues, along with Johnny Mac, my man, Louis Dix, and Brandy McGee. Tune in to see what Jamie Foxx is up to this week on none other than the Foxxhole, Sirius XM 98. That's what we're doing. Let me reintroduce you to my guests. I have some very, very competent people here right now. We have Dr. Thomas Hamblin. He's in the Harbin, Dr. Thomas Harbin. He's in the building. He's a very, very intelligent, insightful brother on the topic. He is giving us a wealth of information, as well as the author of the Anger Workbook for Teens, Raychelle Cassada Lohmann, MS LPC. She's got a lot of initials behind her name, and we appreciate it and respect it. Now, Dr. Harbin, we're going to have to wrap you up here, but before I do that, I want people to buy whatever you have. If you have books people can get, if you have a website people can reach out, an email address, I want you to provide that. But before you do, I want to ask you this question because I think you're well suited to answer it. And that is, what is cognitive restructuring and what is its relevance in the control of anger? Cognitive restructuring, what is that?
Zoe, well, you remember a little while ago I talked about how I think the real solution, a real solution for people with an anger problem is they have to reinterpret the meaning of the world and reinterpret their approach to the world in general. And that's one aspect of cognitive restructuring. If somebody steps on your shoes, it is not the worst insult you've ever had. It's just somebody stepped on your shoes. Mm-hmm. And cognitive restructuring involves a large revamping of what events mean to you and what appropriate responses are, and in particular, having small responses to small provocations and saving the big responses for big provocations. I mean, in my opinion, the goal is never to get angry. We're supposed to get angry. If something happens, you should get angry. But again, my focus is on how much anger And is the expression of anger adaptive or maladaptive?
And can I ask you really quickly, what is the difference between adaptive and maladaptive anger?
For example, one of the big aspects of anger that Ms. Lohmann started to refer to a while back is the physical aspect of it. There are many aspects of anger, but anger, among many other things, is energy. And you can use that energy to do good things, or you can use that energy to do bad things. As I said earlier in the program, I think a lot of people with advanced degrees get there partially on the basis of the energy that anger provides, okay? No one is going to beat me at this. No one is going to do better on this test than me. No one is going to be better at the research than me, which sounds like not a good way to approach the world. But what it is taking that anger and allowing it to do good things.
So it's almost like, to go back, it's like recontextualizing what's true to you, your values, questioning where they came from, locating the ones that don't work for you, and then rewriting the script almost. It's almost like a software upgrade, or actually rewriting the software altogether. Is that correct?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's funny you should use that phrase, because that's a phrase right out of a book that I wrote on anger called Rewriting the Script.
Wow. Could you send me that, Doc? I need it. I'm in trouble.
Yeah, me too.
Let me ask you one other question before you go, though, because we did a lot of research and we uncovered a lot of stuff, like negativistic personality disorder. What is that? And how does that pertain to anger?
I'll have to be honest with you. I haven't heard of negativistic personality disorder, but I can take a stab at it.
Oh, go ahead, stab it up.
I mean, what it sounds like to me is people that are prone or preset or have a strong tendency to look at the negative in any situation. There's probably 5 or 10% of the stuff in life that's bad. There's probably 5 or 10% of the stuff in life that's good, and the other 80% in the middle is just regular. And most angry people spend 90% of their awareness on the 10% of stuff that's bad.
Wow. Do you know how powerful of a point that is? Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker, says we should spend 20% of our time complaining about what's wrong, and the other 80% should be spent on creating a solution to correct it. That's heavy, man. I appreciate you. Where can they find you? Where can they get your books? Where can they read articles? Whatever they need to do. And what if somebody wants to reach out to you? Do you have an email? Tell us where we can find you, Doc.
The book is called Beyond Anger, A Guide for Men. And my website is harbinandassociates.com.
Wow. Can I say thank you very much, brother? I appreciate you for all the information and your valuable time. You've made this an exceptional show, probably one of the best of the year. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure.
All righty. Now, we're going to move to our other special guest and callers, Raychelle Cassada Lohmann. Before I get to that, though, let me introduce my latest fight victim, my latest opponent on the basketball court on Saturday. And let me ask this. And Raychelle, you can help us with this as well. I don't understand how men, we do it all the time. We fight. I mean, this is the most emotional and sensitive group of basketball weekend warriors I've ever played against. We've been fighting each other for over 10 years. Everybody on the court at some point has fought somebody else. But ultimately, we always cool once the fight is over. And as a matter of fact, after my last fight, which was this weekend or last weekend, with the brother who I'm about to introduce right now, we played 2 more games. I mean, it's really crazy. I don't understand. But without further ado, he's a friend of mine. We always fight and we get at it, but this was our first fight. None other than Foxxhole intern, former Foxxhole intern, and all around good dude, Scott ST, the specialist, is in the building. What up, Scotty?
Yo, Zo, what's good, man?
What happened to us this weekend?
I don't know.
Raychelle Cassada Lohmann could help us. What happened to us this weekend, Scott?
No, man.
Jesus.
It was a good game, though, right?
It was a
game.
Yeah. Well, what was happening was Scott, we have contrasting games, but we're both left-handed. Scott is faster than I am, and I'm old. So I'm not going to be chasing
but
Scott.
you tall, though. You got me by a couple
Exactly.
inches,
But I'm longer than Scott. So Scott is killing me with the jumper. I can't get him. And I'm pissed off that I'm old and slow. But I'm busting Scott's ass down on the paint, on the block.
supposedly.
But we're going back and forth.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where, we're pushing and shoving. And then I elbow Scott. Bam. Scott hits the ground. He gets up. Hey, that's some bullshit. And then
That was some bullshit.
that's how it went down.
It was a tough call, but hey.
And then he started fouling.
It's basketball.
He started, okay, we doing it like that? That's what's happening?
That's
We doing it like that? And then he starts fouling. Then I get upset because he's fouling. But I elbowed him in the face, right? And then, what did I do? Oh, I turned around and grabbed you by the neck.
Yeah.
I'm always choking people. Raychelle, I need help. I'm always choking people. And then, this is crazy. And then Scott is like, what's wrong with you, man? What you doing? And then my 14-year-old son grabs me. Hey, Dad, what the hell is going on? You need to settle. Well, he didn't cuss at me because he knows that I will go off. More anger. So then he holds me, and everybody's holding each other. Then they let us go, and we clash again. And then we're on the ground wrestling, and he's doing jujitsu because he was trained. He's a military dude. I'm like, oh God, I'm getting choked up. He got me in a sleeper. I get out the hole. I'm trying to hit him, but I get grabbed.
I got grabbed too.
And then we get pulled away.
Yeah.
And then we start talking crap for another 15, 20 minutes. It looks like the game is not going to happen. And then we get back on the court and play 2 more games, and then we apologize later on. What is wrong with us?
Stat was nervous, though. He was putting his house shoes on, about to walk away. Like, I don't know about.
So what is wrong with us, Raychelle?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't have the full situation that you just described in 5 minutes. No, I think the real thing is you're using that basketball court, and you said it earlier, it's a release for you. You
Exactly.
take that pent-up energy out there, you're shooting hoops, you're out there with a bunch of friends, but because it's your release mechanism, you're out there charged. You are fully charged. But I do want to bring a point to you. It sounds like voice of reason, no pun intended, was a 14-year-old that came down and called it to your attention. What are you doing? You're out there modeling to him.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you're going to have to learn those triggers and de-energize yourself a little bit when you're out there with your buddies, especially if you've got a little one watching you, because the area that I really work with is the kids and the teens, and I'm right there on ground level with them, and I'm seeing them doing this in the gym themselves. They're learning the competitive, they're learning sportsmanship, and they're taking a lot of that charged energy out onto the courts, and learning how to take that energy and apply it appropriately is key. There's been times where I've had angry teens come to me, and I try to help them identify whether they're an outwardly aggressive teen or whether they're one that's more quiet and they can sit down in my office and tell me what's going on. If they're one that needs to move, I'm not going to have that kid sit in my office and tell me what's going down. Mm-hmm. They're going to tear my office up. They're not going to sit still. So we go to the gym, we go hit the heavy bags. I let them get that pent-up energy out. Teaching them ways to release that energy is key, and knowing their anger response style and how they need to vent is very important. But as far as what's going on with you and your friends, it sounds like a lot of you take that energy out there, and that's your release. That's your time to unwind.
You know what? And you know what, Raychelle? That's so true. Let me just, I keep it real, 100%. I will take a lot of frustration out. And in Hollywood and the business we deal, a lot of times you can't let people see you sweat. You can't let, like, for instance, it's all an illusion out here. Yeah. So, you could be poor as dirt, and you might be around a bunch of rich people or a bunch of accomplished people. And a lot of these people out here think they are their accomplishments, as opposed to the other way around. Your accomplishments should be a reflection of who you are. Your accomplishments shouldn't define who you are. But in Hollywood, people's accomplishments define who they are. So what happens is I find myself playing the game. I could be poor, dirt poor, but I can't look dirt poor. I can't behave dirt poor. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll find myself playing the game, putting on a facade. You don't get to see what's really bothering me. You don't get to see that I need or something is going on. So let me give you an example. This is what I mean by I keep it real. And Scott, I want you to tell people about your situation, because me and Scott carry two different kinds of baggage to the court to release Raychelle. Like, for instance, I haven't seen my youngest child in 4 years. When he left California, his mother took him, right? Took him, and I didn't know the laws. I didn't know she couldn't take him, whatever. I talked to the dude, we talk, but I haven't seen him. So what'll happen is, or what has been happening is, we don't get enough information on what's going on with him. Is he okay? Is everything all right? So yesterday, I get a phone call. These are the type of things that I will take to the court. Yesterday, I get a phone call from Child Protective Services out of Michigan saying, his mother is under investigation for, alleged child abuse. So it's like, hey, can you come get him in case we got to take this dude to jail? So I'll take that to the court. Or another thing that I do for a lot of people call me just for advice. And I'll be listening to person after person after person after person, situation, scenario, and I'll be taking in all of their stuff. You understand what I'm saying? I'll be listening to them and their stuff, and I'll take that to the court. And a lot of people will take it for granted. Some people call me just for basic answers. You know what I mean? You're not the person who, like, let me give you this example, Raychelle. I don't mean to talk too much because I want you guys to talk, but let me give you this example. I get people who call me and say, how do I get out of this? They don't want to understand the process by which they got into something, because they don't understand the process by which you got into it contains the answer you're looking for. You have to understand the situation so that you can get the answer. They'll just call me for the answer. It's like, I don't want to know how I got into it. Just help me get out of it. And that in itself is a stressful process. And I will carry that to the court. I go to the court to be competitive, to be loud, to let it out. Raychelle, you hit it on the nose. Scott, what are you carrying to the court? And I know you carrying stuff to the court. What are you carrying to the court, brother?
Oh, man, it could be a lot of things. Been in the city for a while. I say the hardest thing for me coming back from serving in the military was one of those things. When I started with the Foxxhole a couple years ago, I was going through a lot of things that I couldn't really tell nobody, because it's just like, what you gonna do? Really, people come back from Iraq, and it seems difficult to hire these people or to work with these people, but you don't really know what's going on with them. And sometimes, the things that they're dealing with is some serious stuff. So when we go out to the court, man, I be trying to do what Dr. Harbin said, is I'm trying to change the way that I perceive things that happen to me. Of course, I'm not perfect, so things always happen. But that's one of the things to me is, he said one other thing. I don't like to be on a monologue. We can keep going back and forth.
You good, Scott.
But look, man,
like time.
When you training, he was talking about the training when you're in the military. You may not be mad right then when you're returning fire or whatever it is, when you're in Iraq or if you're in Afghanistan or if you're in the other places that people are deployed to, because there's other places. You come back, and really what the thing is you deal with it day by day once you become a civilian again, once you get back and you deal with normal life and normal people and normal jobs, and then you're realizing, hey, man, I'm a little bit different. And you got to change the way that you think about stuff and the way that you let people affect you, because that's a big thing that I had, is that I would let people change the way that I acted. And you can't let people do that. As a man, you got to step back and you got to say, you know what, I'm mad, but the reason I'm mad is because I'm being emotional. So I need to step back, see what the emotion is, take that out of it, and deal with things the right way. And that's helped me a lot since I've done that. So
wow. Scott, I love it when people come on the Voice of Reason and share. First it was Brandy this year, then it was AP, my producer. Brother, where are you at in your weight process right now? You're working. The two personal trainers that I had on the show, AP is now working out with the personal trainer. And what are you, boxing and all kind of stuff he got you doing. And your weight is coming down, yeah? Down about 15. He's down 15 pounds. So, you know what I mean? I love it when people come on this show, man, and just open up, because I'm going to open up. You know, and I'm not saying that the baby mama situation, I'm not saying that she actually abusing the kid. I mean, people's definition of that is different too. But I do know when you whoop a child out of anger, that's when you out of pocket. Is that not right, Raychelle?
That's right. You should never, ever, ever strike anyone when you're angry. And if I could, this is kind of on the side, but it's on the topic, especially to teens. What I've seen a lot of teens do nowadays is they go online when they're angry. And they bash someone, and we've got a big issue with cyberbullying going on right now. You should never go online, never fire off an email, never get on a social networking site when you're angry.
And you know what?
That's
Twitter.
No, that's a good point, Raychelle. Finish your point. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
You can't delete it. It can easily be copied. I've seen kids take photos and then go and do some crude and lewd things to the photo, put them back up on the side of someone they're angry at. We've really got to instill in kids that we can't do this. It bothers them. They're creating a digital footprint. 80% of college admission officials, according to a 2010 Kaplan study, are saying that they are using social networking sites to screen potential college applicants and also use for recruiting mechanisms. Colleges, employers, even if you're an adult, they're checking out your profile. So be careful what you put on there, and especially out of anger, because you might accidentally make a threat, not mean to, but you're just angry at the time and not mean what you're going to say. A lot of trouble.
Wow, that's good stuff. We're about to take another quick break, but before I do, I always put my son, this is a parenting trick that I use. When I am not in control, when I am weak, when I am in the wrong, I put my son or whatever child, my daughter, whoever saw me do something that was beneath myself, I let them become my judge. Like, you know, when I got into it with you, I talked to my son. I said, son, how did I deal with it? He said, you got an F. The way you handled it was an F. You know, I let him judge me. I let him put me on the stand and go, dude, your punishment is this. Because at the end of the day, I know what I do influences him to the nth degree because I'm his hero. He looks at me like, what? My dad can do no wrong. And if you're a father out there and you got a child, whether it's a girl or a boy who looks up to you, man, we got to be more careful. And I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. Part of being a great leader.
That's big, man.
Right. Part of being a great leader is being accountable for your own shortcomings. Ladies and gentlemen, voice of reason, Foxxhole Radio. That's why I'm doing the show. I need help. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution Anger Management Show. We're about to take a quick break. Callers, get to your phone lines. I'm coming to you. Me, Raychelle, Scott. We going to holler at you for the remainder. 855-369-9898. 855-369-9898. That's what we doing. ZoWilliams, Foxxhole Radio, Sirius XM 98. I'll be back in 2.2. Holla. Ladies and gentlemen, ZoWilliams, the voice of reason, is back in the building. Man, me and Scott, ST the specialist, back in the building. Latest fight contestants out on the Saturday basketball court. I mean, we've all fought each other over there. We have a special guest on the phone as well. She's an author of, and I have her workbook here, the Anger Workbook for Teens, Activities to Help You Deal with Anger and Frustration. Her name is Raychelle Cassada Lohmann, MSLPC. She's on the phone right now. We're having a great conversation. It's crazy. Let me cover a couple of costs, because we asked the question, what does anger cost? And I want my phone people to get ready, because I'm coming to you right now. That's 855-369-9898, 855-FOX-9898. Call me, share your story. We've got Raychelle Cassada on. She's going to talk to you guys about it. Me and Scott will add in a few things. We're not professionals. However, the costs of anger, your health. A lot of people don't understand that anger contributes to stress, and stress contributes to high cortisol levels in the bloodstream, and it can be really problematic over time. It can break down they tell you adrenaline in the bloodstream can break down organs. I mean, it's crazy. Stress has a real negative effect on you, especially when you're overstressed and you have something called chronic anger, like people who are always angry are always stressed. So, the cortisol levels
That used to be me. I'll tell you first. That used to be me, man.
That was you?
Yeah, this Scott.
That
used to be me, man.
Scott.
I've come a long way.
Yeah.
I've come a long way. A lot of it's listening to y'all show. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, thank you, brother.
Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason. Scotty is here. He used to work on this show. He was very good.
Thank you.
Number two on the cost list, your self-esteem. Right? A lot of people have low self-esteem, especially when we start dealing with conflict. Because a lot of times anger and the display of anger, and talk to me about this, Raychelle, is the only power you have. A lot of times when you're in a situation, because people don't understand, there's a power dynamic in every relationship. And there's always a fight for the power. Some person has more power. Maybe they have more power because they have more resources. Maybe they have more power because they know they have more information. But there's always a power struggle. The point that I'm trying to make is, say, for instance, you're a parent and you have a teenager. Well, there's a power struggle there. The teenager wants to do what they want to do, but you control all of the resources. So there's a power struggle. And sometimes the only way to show their own power is to express anger, because anger is a release, right? So your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, what it means to you. My self-esteem always takes a hit when I lose it. I'm just going to be honest. I'd be like, God,
that's real, though. That's real, though.
I used to be a god. This morning I was a deity. And now I'm a human for 35 minutes. It really hurts me. So your self-esteem. Cost number 3, your relationships. When you show an ugly aspect of yourself, some callers, 855-369-9898. You get at me right now.
Preach.
Ladies out there who's dating a dude who picked up the table and threw it across the room. Don't you got a different look after it's all settled down? Y'all might be cool and everything. He didn't hit me this time, or he never hit me. But you have a different look once you see, because you hear women in domestic abuse situations say, he was glossed over. His eyes. It was like looking into the eyes of a great white shark. There was nothing there, right? Ladies, call me right now if you've experienced this, 855-369-98. That your relationships invariably change once they see the ugly side of you. Yeah?
All kind of relationships.
Even your kids
work
be like.
relationships, children, family.
Yeah. It's a cold situation. Of course, it affects your children. That's a cost. They see a different side of daddy, right? And then, of course, the workplace cost. What if you pop off at the job? Yeah. Well, the cost is you could lose your job, or you could be alienated, right? It's a lot of stuff there. Raychelle, talk to us about these, the cost and, and all of this other stuff that we have to deal with when anger is uncontrolled.
Sure. Let me start with the first one you mentioned, was health. I think what begins to happen when you get angry is your body goes into what we call fight or flight response. You're ready to either fight or you're ready to run away from the situation. And when that happens, your muscles get tense, your pupils get dilated. Your body is an automatic self-protection mode. Now, with chronically angry people or people who easily get their feathers ruffled and get frustrated, they're constantly pushing this through their body, and those surge of hormones and chemicals that you just mentioned are constantly going throughout their body, and it causes hypertension in the future, and it could cause cardiac problems. They've actually studied what they call the type A personality, those very tight people who are angry, frustrated, like everything to be a certain way, and whenever things aren't that way, get really upset. Those types of personalities that show a lot of anger actually have a higher morbidity rate, than those who don't. So anger really can take a toll on the body. The second thing is the relationships, especially if you're a parent in a power struggle with a teen. You have to learn.
Go deeper. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, you got the floor. Go deeper.
I actually did a blog on this. It's called How to Have a Fair Fight with Your Teen on Psychology Today. And it basically outlines the things that you need to do when you're having a fight with your teen. You are a role model as a parent. And regardless of whether you think your teen's listening or not, they are hearing the words that you're saying, and they're watching and repeating the actions that you're doing. If you are that aggravated at your teen and they're retaliating against you, you need to respond to them in calmness. raising your voice, screaming at each other, it causes people to shut up. They don't listen to you. I mean, if someone talks disrespectful to you, you cease listening. And
Right.
that's what teens do, too. And they're humans. So learn how to calm yourself down. If you can't and you're too irritated with what your kid's done, get away from your kid for a while till you can get yourself together and go back and address the situation.
And you know what, Raychelle? What you're covering some cold stuff right now, because this is why my son's mother is in trouble right now. Right? He gets in trouble at school. Mind you, he's a 9-year-old. He gets in trouble at school. She goes to the school, pulls him out of the class, takes him into the girls' bathroom and spanks him. Mm-hmm. Now, somebody at the school said she spanked him out of anger, and it wasn't a normal spanking. It was a smackdown in the girls' bathroom. So now somebody reports her to Child Protective Services, and then they call me. We're investigating old chick because she put the monkey knuckles on your son. That is your son, right? Yeah, that's my son. Can you come get him just in case we roll up on her and got to take her to jail? You see, now I told her, hey, at some point, and this is what I tell a lot of women this who are single moms and have to raise these sons. I say, listen, whooping they ass, right? Putting the smack down on them only works for a certain amount of time. As the boy gets older, he's going to have a disconnect from mom anyway. And in order to keep his attention, especially when you're trying to discipline him and there's no father just right there, right in his face, you're going to have to keep escalating the whooping. You're going to have to keep upping the ante because he's going to get used to the little taps and all of that, and it ain't going to matter. I've heard of this one lady who actually fights and boxes with her kids, with her growing boys.
Right, and she talk about it too.
Right, and I tell her, listen, you're teaching them how to resolve issues through violence. Right. You got to be able to take something away that means something to them. Whooping them don't mean anything at a particular point. So,
and how does that kid handle when they get into a conflict at school? They whoop up on the boy.
Exactly.
And aggravating them, and then the kid gets suspended, goes home, and gets another whooping by the parent.
Right.
So it's a cycle. It's a cycle, and we got to stop it.
Man, it's crazy, and and let me just go on record right now. I don't think my son's mother abused him, but the definition and the interpretation of it. Why you take this dude in the girls' bathroom and put the smackdown on? And from what I'm hearing now, the reports coming out of the bathroom, there was a couple of little girls in there who witnessed the beat down. So it's like, oh, you in trouble now. You in trouble. Somebody call me right now, 855-369-9898. Share your story. I'm sharing mine. I'm not afraid to do it. I've got a quote. People who fly into a rage always make a bad landing. Will Rogers. Come on. Let's go to Train from California. Let's talk.
Hey, hello?
What up, man?
Train.
Hey, man, what's going on, everybody?
What's happening, pimp?
Hey, man, my thing is this. I like to be upfront with my girl. So, I told her about my anger issues. I even told her about my year in anger management. And it's like, perfect example, she just likes to push it's certain buttons that she likes to push just to see how far I will go. Mm-hmm. And just the other day, we had an issue. I'm like, okay, so where's this coming from? Because she has sons. I'm not the biological dad, but I'm the dad in the house. Mm-hmm. And now she wants to come and like, okay, well, you're doing too much, kind of, but she's not saying it. I'm like, okay, so what role do you want me to play? So she says something out of pocket. I get upset, and when I get upset, I just shut down because I don't like to argue. Because arguing leads to words that I have to apologize for. And my whole thing is I don't like to say I'm sorry because a person can say they're sorry till they blow in the face and really don't mean it. So, I sat down at that point, but I get so angry. So, I get angry to where my bones ache. And it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to take this time and I'm going to try to regroup myself. But then she just keep pushing it. And I'm like, I'll catch up with you later. And then the comments still are going. I'm like, okay, but I'm trying to let you know I will catch up with you later. And,
wow.
and that part really frustrates me because it's like, why would you want to go that far? Because
right.
because after that point, it's no return because I don't know how to turn it. I don't know how to turn it off and on. It went
right.
Once it clicks, that is it. And I'm trying to tell her I don't want to click. For one, I'm a cool, mellow dude most of the time. Mm-hmm. I try to avoid anything that's gonna bring me to that point. But once that point is reached, it's like, okay, now what? You got me here. This is what you get. And I hate it because it burns me up.
So you're experiencing the Ving Rhames baby boy syndrome. Exactly. You want something to eat, Jody? You want breakfast? you in there butt naked cooking up breakfast? Is that what's going on? I'm not trying to be funny, but I understand what you're going through.
Hey, can I ask a brother a question real quick?
Absolutely.
Yo, man, have you tried to identify what them triggers might be for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried, man. Like I said, I took the whole year anger management, and some of the stuff I picked up, I'm like, okay, well, I know this part, and then when they come, it's like, okay, I feel it. And when I say my bones hurt, I mean, man, my bones ache, and it's like, okay, well, it's time for me to back down or back away.
Wow, that's a good point. But let's do it this way. When you took anger management, and Raychelle, I want you to question him as well because we're trying to get as much information as we can get for the brother. When you took the anger management for a year, what were the triggers that management or that training exposed to you, like you need to work on the most? What was it?
Trying to communicate, and that was one of them. It was like, okay, I try to communicate, and then when it gets too far, I stutter because I get so angry, and that's one of the triggers. Because at that point, I just stop talking. It's like, okay, the conversation is over because I can't get out what I want to get out, even by taking a deep breath, because I'm so frustrated. So that part really gets me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing, brother. I really appreciate it. Raychelle.
Yeah, so can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
For your caller. I'm a firm believer that all behavior serves some sort of purpose or we wouldn't be doing it. Flip the coin there. What do you think she's trying to get from you when she's pushing your buttons?
A response that I told her about. It's like she really wants to see it. Like, well, I want to really see how far you will go with this anger. And I'm like, well, don't, because I don't know what happens when it's triggered. Because literally, though, I was told that things happen, and then I'm like, you know what? I don't even remember that happening.
Yeah, you black out. You talking about the blackouts. Right. I've been there.
Right.
You wake up so, and all the mirrors are broken. I understand. Yeah. Continue.
So, and it seems like that's what she's trying to get to. And I'm like, well, why? Don't. I'm verbally telling you, don't, because it's a reason for it. And she just keeps pushing. I'm like,
so let me ask you both this, Raychelle. I know you're on right now, and the caller. Let me ask you guys this: if someone is provoking you, right, to pushing your buttons and provoking you and locked into your triggers or whatever, are they responsible for your response, or are you responsible for your response?
You're responsible for all of your actions. That person is just pushing a button. How you respond to your anger, you own it.
So if they have the power to push your button and get a response from you, and that's what they're looking. But
you chose to let them push your button.
Right. So let me set it up. If they're doing that on purpose and you're not in control of yourself, would that mean they are now in control of you?
Sure. You've let them have the driver's seat.
Wow.
And I'm not so sure that this young lady isn't seeking some sort of attention and she's getting it, but she's getting it in the wrong way. There's something else other than taking him over the edge that she's trying to get. I'm not sure what that is, but there's something that she's wanting, and it sounds like she's getting a lot of attention when she keeps pushing those buttons. I don't know if that's something that he's noticed, if she's trying to get his attention, but she's going about it in all the wrong ways.
Sometimes any attention is good attention, even if it's negative. That's a great point, Raychelle. We've got to take another quick break, but before we go, let me run through the top 10 things that make people angry. Number 10, people who drive like idiots. Road rage.
Thank you.
Don't you hate it when you're going 65, 75, 72, 73 miles an hour, and then somebody cuts in front of you on the freeway and go 55. Like, go with the flow of traffic, idiot. I hate that. Number 9, people who use their text messaging while you're having a conversation with them. You're talking to them and they're like, yeah, I understand. You're not listening, and then they pick up on the conversation. You know how you sideways listening, and then they respond to like 8 sentences ago, and you go, all right, well, you're not even connected. I hate that. People who talk during the movies. Well, then, I think all black people do that, so maybe only other races are mad at us.
Depending on what movie you're watching, sometimes they make it better.
Right, sometimes it's better. Right, don't go in there. Number 7, companies who make you scroll through a zillion options before you can speak to a live person. That's very upsetting. People who pass gas on a crowded public elevator.
Man.
Let me tell you, quick story.
And on the bus.
I was at the movies watching a film, and there was a dude like right directly behind me, and he kept farting. And you could hear him. It was like somebody was squeezing a balloon. It was
sound like marbles dropping.
It was terrible. And it just stunk up the whole place, and we got out, and they finally gave us our money back. That was a true story. Number 4, gossip. A lot of people get really pissed off about gossip. They call it hating and all of that nowadays. Number 3, large SUVs with just a driver and no passenger. I don't know if that makes me so mad, but that's on our list. Number 2, people who are rude, really inconsiderate and disrespectful people. A lot of times, even in relationship, where there is a lack of mutual respect and consideration, and this is what happens. When you're in a relationship, you tend to want to keep it good, so you suppress a lot of stuff, and I call that the volcano effect. And I'm going to tell people right now, tolerance is just a volcano effect, because you can only tolerate so much, and then you blow your top, you blow your fuse. A lot of times we got to find our way to acceptance so that we don't pop off. So a lot of times we expect people to change, and we got silent contracts, and we hoping they become something different later on, and then you wind up being in love with that expectation, and then when you meet the real person, you pop off. So people who are rude. Number 2. Number 1, the number 1 reason on our survey that makes people mad is themselves. I'm ZoWilliams, the voice of reason. We're about to take a quick break, man. This is a cold show. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution Anger Management Show. This is the theme song to The Incredible Hulk, The Lonely Man. At the end of every episode, he would walk away, headed for another town, after turning into the Hulk twice that episode. We'll be back in 2.2. ZoWilliams, the voice of reason. I'll holla.
Who's the best? Pac, Nas, and Big.
Yikes.
Ain't no best.
This is when battles got really serious. We start crossing lines. Heavy record. Don't make me angry. Make me write ether. Jesus. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. The Conflict Resolution Anger Management Show. We're having a great time tonight, and I hope we're making some headway in some people's lives. I like to put my life out there. The reason why I like to do that is because it helps me grow and develop as a person. A lot of times we have imbalanced expectations of everyone, of religious people, of politicians, of relationship specialists. And, like for instance, take Dr. John Gray. A lot of people stopped messing with Dr. John Gray, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, when he broke up with his wife. Because they have this imbalanced expectation that they think, relationship specialists are supposed to have perfect relationships. I don't have a perfect relationship in any way, shape, or form. Every relationship I'm in is a highly reflective classroom where I try to learn more and more and more about my own inadequacies and weaknesses as a person. And if you're not learning in your relationships, you're not paying to the reflections that are coming back to you from the person you're in relationship with. So, with that said, let me go back to the triggers. Violation of expectations and emotions, right? A lot of times betrayal, is a trigger for, uncontrolled anger. Blockage of goals, right, becomes the same thing. Then you have physical and personal problems, lack of sleep. These are some if I didn't get enough sleep, I can be more irritable. Then you have fairness in relationship is a big one. equality in the relationship. Again, we talked about fairness is a byproduct of what we talked about earlier when we talked about the power, the inherent power that is in a relationship. Sometimes that power is imbalanced, and that person feels like things are not fair. So we're talking about the triggers here again. Anger has three major components. You have physical reactions, then you have the cognitive experience of anger, how we perceive and think about what is making us angry, and then we have the physical manifestation of anger. And a lot of times, like our doctor friend who was on earlier, Harbin, said, you have to remember anger sometimes manifests itself as a childish manifestation. If I can't get what I want, because anger is connected to frustration. You get frustrated because you can't get what you want, and then anger, the behavior of it and the expression of it, is a reflection of what you're frustrated about. So, I mean, it's a very, very deep topic. It has many, many tentacles. So we want to talk about different ways to, get over this anger. Let me just do this really quickly. Let me reintroduce you guys to my special guest author who's in the building right now. She's on the phone. She has the Anger Workbook for teens, activities to help them deal with anger and frustration. Raychelle Cassada Lohmann, MS, LPC. Raychelle, when we're dealing with these children, really quickly, what are 5 things that you would tell a person or a parent, hey, here's 5 tips to deal with your child? Make it quickly because we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Raychelle, where is she?
Hello?
Yes. Did you hear that question?
I did.
Okay,
Teach them to use words and express themselves through their words and not their hands.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them how to cool down. Teach them how to release their anger. Get them out doing something active.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them how to talk to people and express what what's bothering them. Find out what pushes their buttons. The main thing whenever you're working with kids is communication. It's teaching them how to express their feelings and emotions, not just anger, appropriately.
Wow. You're wonderful. Where do people get your book? How do they contact you? What's your email? I want people to go buy the book. This is a call to action. If you're raising a teenager, if you're raising a young child that is exhibiting an angry disposition or angry behavior, please go out and get Raychelle Cassada Lohmann's book. What's the name of the book, Raychelle?
It's the Anger Workbook for Teens. It's by New Harbinger Publications. You can get it in any of the major book retailers or as well as New Harbinger's website and Amazon.com. I have a personal website, RaychelleCLoman.com, and you can contact me via my website. I'm also a national blogger for Psychology Today. The title of my blog is Teen Angst, and it's helping teens effectively work through anger and other emotions.
Wow. Let me just say, you are an awesome guest. You provided valuable information. We appreciate you for being here. Thank you very much. And we will get back to you soon when we do another show that's in this realm, okay?
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Zoe.
Thank you. Ty from Connecticut, it's your time to chime. Talk to me, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I had to go do some anger management just waiting on this phone line, man. Put some woosahs on the phone,
hey,
man.
Hey, man, it's the voice of reason, you know what I'm saying? It's the voice of reason. We're the Beatles of radio. Talk to me.
Love your show, man. Love your show. I listen
Thank
to
you.
it. I'm a correction officer, right? And I'll tell you right now, man, like communication, one of the other calls that communication is the key, and it really is the key, man. But what do you do with, people that they only know violence as a solution, you know what I'm saying? Like
violence is their communication, is what you're saying.
And
right.
you can't communicate with everybody. So some people they only know violence as a solution. So to talk to them, to get through to them, you have to combat their violence with bigger violence.
Right. You know what? And that's a great point. Thank you very much for the point. And I can go back to Dr. John Gray. Dr. John Gray says, he's the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. He says there is no solution that will work when the two people that have the conflict are not invested in fixing the problem. If you can't convert somebody to a religion if they ain't trying to hear you. You can't convert somebody to a way of thought if they're not trying to hear you. So let me just do this because now we're at the end of the show. And let me just get to my final thoughts here. Let me start with this quote. No man can think clearly when his fists are clenched. George Jean Nathan. I'm so happy that Scott came on the show tonight.
Thank you for inviting me, man.
And shared with us because, I mean, everybody on the court has fought, to some degree. We've been fighting. Yeah, you have, King.
Yeah, King in it too. We tired.
We've all fought. And there's really a lot of different ways to get it done, but you got to be invested and committed to clearing it up.
Hey, man, I appreciate you being big enough to invite me on the show,
Come
man.
on, man.
For
It's
real.
never an issue,
and
man.
For all of those out there that don't know, Voice of Reason, he's a real dude, man. I mean, we go back a long time, and there's not too many cats out there like that. I got his back, man. I appreciate you being.
Hey, man,
me on the
it's
show.
never an issue, man. We're gonna do this all the time. Relax, breathe, exercise. Get out there and change your physiology. Get some blood pumping, endorphins. It'll change the way you're thinking. Changing patterns and thoughts and words. A lot of times verbal abuse leads to violence. Finding a solution or an outlet. Laughing. Go put on a Jamie Foxx CD. Giggle. Do something about it. But let me explain something to you guys really quickly. You are the only manager of your life. You got to manage your bank account. You got to manage your relationships. You got to manage your diet. You got to manage your stress. You see, and you also got to manage your anger. Listen, you need the proper tools in order to do that. That's why we do these shows. That's why we have these authors on. Get their books, read, study, put it into practice. Hey, I'm guilty of not putting it into practice all the time. I'm not perfect, and I'll never be perfect, but I will always strive to do the best I can.
Preach.
I will always be accountable for what I do that's incorrect. I'm going to put myself on my son's judge. Let my son judge me. Hey, man, did I do something stupid? Yes, you did, Daddy. But let me just say, learn to manage your life. It is a lifelong process. Learn to look at yourself. Look at your weaknesses. Call yourself to the floor. And be committed to changing. I love you all. I respect you all. And I need to hear from you all. ZO@SiriusXM.com. Follow me on Twitter @ZoWilliams. We'll be back next week with another heater. I appreciate everyone. ZoWilliams is out. Peace.